Z440, I'm your biggest fan. Eh? Because of fans? Let's just do some upgrades. It's multi-fan madness here in the studio. Well, not studio as much as chair desk. This is the computer that I edit my videos on, and which may look familiar. We're doing a heatsink on the M2 SSD, this memory fan that I really didn't want to buy, but more about that later. This case fan that has no business being in the case, but like the professional I am, I plan on forcing this in there in a crude and terrible way. Also, I'm installing one of these devices for HDDs, which will go well for my use for this machine, but we'll talk about that as we go as well. This is one of the Z440s I modded with a CPU upgrade, which I covered in a previous video. It's the $19 processor that's running 10 cores. I'm also running 64 gigabytes RAM and the NVIDIA Quadro K5200 GPU. I use this as my primary video editing machine, and needless to say, when I render video, this beast gets a little toasty. Too toasty, in fact. I've had some freezes and a couple random restarts, but only specifically when I'm rendering video. I've tried more thermal paste, less thermal paste, tightening the fan, loosening the fan, running it with less RAM, and installed several different GPUs, doing a clean install of the OS each time and reinstalling the drivers. Probably overkill, but just to be certain it wasn't the GPU. I even tried smacking it with a pool noodle, which almost always does the trick, but no dice. It could just be that the CPU is faulty, but really it could be a lot of things. But I figured it can't hurt just to overload the thing with fans, and also that kind of sounds like fun. Which takes us to the first modification. This is the HP memory fan that I really didn't want to buy, and at $40, that makes it the most expensive thing in this computer. Well, aside from the GPU. I don't think it's the RAM overheating that's giving me trouble or anything, but I figure it can't hurt just to have an extra cooling element in the case. And because I'm kind of obsessed with these Z440s, this is like the missing piece for that model of computer, as it's specifically designed for these machines. Plus, I won't have to manually skip the annoying BIOS message that pops up every time I boot this computer. There might be a way to bypass it, but HP is notorious for making these messages that you can't shut off. They have the persistence of our national treasure, Clippy, with none of the merit or value. And you can bet if Clippy was here today, he would solve my computer issues, just like he solved every other problem ever presented to him. But for now, we'll make do. The memory fan was simple enough to install, but how to install a fan when no fan was meant to be installed? It just wouldn't be fan madness if I didn't do something stupid with one of these case fans. Like remove the hard drive caddies and jam one inside using double-sided tape. Now, before anyone has a meltdown, no pun intended, here's why I think the fan will be fine there. Some of the variations of Z440 ship with this proprietary factory installed fan towards the bottom here. As you can see, this fan just kind of sits a little bit away from the front of the case. There is a gap in the case itself, and then the front bezel has all these sort of vertical gaps that allow for airflow. And our newly installed fan will still sit in front of these vertical gaps somewhere in this area. Beneath the newly installed memory fan, the CPU fan blows air towards the back of the case towards this rear case fan, which works as an exhaust and blows the hot air out the back. I don't want to work against that, so I'm installing, taping the new case fan to pull cool air from the front of the case and blow towards the CPU fan, working in the same direction, venting everything towards the back. I have double-sided tape on the bottom and side of this thing, and I'm also going to put a couple of these command strip hook things here to help secure the bottom, and a bit of wire to fasten the top. And we're going to connect that to this extra Molex cable, which isn't doing much of anything anyway, you lazy slacker. It's actually fixed in there pretty good, but we'll check it out when it's running as well. So I removed all the HDD caddies. I'll use those in one of my bare bones Z440s that didn't come with any of those. However, since I'm using this machine for video editing, I'm going to have a lot of raw video files that I'll want to store on HDD. Since I got rid of my caddies and I'll likely be going through a few of those drives, that's going to be a problem. Or is it? If you've seen my videos in the past, you know how much I like this device. This hard drive caddy fits inside the 5.25-inch bay and allows us to swap 3.5-inch hard drives in and out without having to open the case at all. It's really quick and easy and especially convenient for video editing because I have a bunch of these 1 and 2 terabyte hard drives laying around that I don't want to go to waste. So I'll just pop one into the caddy, use it to store a lot of the raw video files and things of that nature until it's full, and then it's super easy to take the old one out and just pop a fresh one in there. One final modification is something I really should have done a while ago. I'm using this M2 to PCIe adapter, and typically these come with some kind of heatsink. I'm going to swap out the one I'm currently running that doesn't have a heatsink with one that's complete and has the top and bottom heat distribution thermal strips, as well as this top metal heatsink. Now we've got our basic B upgrades going on. We'll just fire up the machine and make sure at least everything is spinning and not flying around because some fool just stuck it in there with double-sided tape, and then the adhesive on the tape got hot and melted and came unstuck, but that's what the fan is for, but it won't work that way, but I don't care. Looks pretty nice indeed. Alright, thanks for coming along for the ridiculous journey. I really appreciate you watching. Thank you, and I will catch you later.